Hello, sweetheart. Are you there? My hand froze midair. That voice, soft, maternal, warm, definitely didn't belong to my boss. I stared at the iPhone lying on the conference room table. Shiny black case, sleek design, the same tempered glass screen protector that Barrett Hale, my impossibly distant and untouchable boss, always carried. But I had left my phone on this very table before the meeting started, so this had to be. Oh no. Sweetheart, can you hear me? It's Mom. My breath caught. This was his personal phone. And now a sweet, caring voice on the other end was talking to me like I was her son. Actually, I think there's been… Oh my. Your voice sounds so different today. Did you catch a cold, honey? She laughed. The kind of laugh that immediately made you feel safe. The complete opposite of Barrett's intimidating, ice-cold demeanor in every board meeting. I fumbled with my words. Ma'am, I'm not… Ma'am? Barrett, are you okay? Why are you being so formal with your own mother? Her tone shifted slightly, laced with motherly concern. Listen, I just wanted to confirm you're coming next Sunday, right? And please don't forget to bring that special someone. Your father and I are dying to meet him. Special someone. My heart stopped beating. Completely. I'm actually not… Barrett, this is really important. You always postpone these things, but not this time. I've already ordered the cake. Strawberry cheesecake. You mentioned that he loves it. I mean, you said it's his favorite. Remember? Her voice turned playful, almost teasing. Strawberry cheesecake? The phone nearly slipped from my trembling fingers. That was my favorite dessert. But I'd never told anyone at the office about it. Except once when I was alone in the pantry talking to myself while Claire was bringing in cupcakes and… Wait a second. Was Barrett there that day? Had he been listening? Ma'am, I really think you should know. Oh, stop being so shy. Look, sweetheart, I know you're a private person, but enough is enough. We're your parents. We just want to meet the person who puts that sparkle in your eyes. She paused, and I could hear the smile in her voice. Because there is a sparkle, isn't there, Barrett? I'm your mother. I know these things. My breathing became shallow, uneven. A sparkle in Barrett's eyes. Because of someone. That's when the door opened, and Barrett Hale himself walked in, all 6'2" of him, sharp jawline that could cut glass, perfectly tailored navy suit that probably cost more than my monthly rent, and that signature expressionless face that made everyone in meetings feel like they were under interrogation. His gaze immediately found me, then traveled down to his phone in my hand. His steps faltered, just for a fraction of a second, and I saw it for the very first time. Something changed in his eyes. Was it panic, fear, or maybe embarrassment? Barrett? His mother was still speaking. Baby, are you listening? Next Sunday, 3 o'clock sharp. No excuses this time. And bring him along. Okay? No backing out. Barrett walked toward me. Slow, measured steps. Controlled. But his hands were shaking slightly. He reached out for the phone, saying nothing. His eyes never left mine. I was about to hand it over when his mother said something that changed everything. One more thing, Barrett. If this is the same boy you mentioned before, the one who stays late filing your reports, who remembers exactly how you like your coffee, who actually understands you when no one else does, then sweetheart, don't let him go. Because that kind of loyalty, that kind of care, that's what love looks like. The phone slipped from my hand. Barrett caught it. His reflexes sharp as always, but his eyes were locked on mine, and in them I saw an expression I had never witnessed before. Vulnerability. Raw, unfiltered vulnerability. Mom, I'll call you back, he whispered into the phone, his voice barely audible, and ended the call. Silence engulfed the room. Heavy, suffocating, electric. I looked up at him. His face was mere inches from mine. His breathing was unsteady, chest rising and falling like he'd just run a marathon. Jackson. He said my name for the very first time. Soft, gentle, almost afraid. You heard everything? I couldn't nod, couldn't move, couldn't breathe. Because Barrett Hale, my cold, unreachable, emotionally distant boss, was standing right in front of me with a truth written all over his face that he'd probably never had the courage to speak out loud. And suddenly I understood. I was the one. I was that special someone his mother had been talking about. The realization hit me like a tidal wave. All those late nights when Barrett would insist on staying with me while I finished reports, claiming he had work too. The way he'd always remember my coffee order when no one else did. How he'd glance at me during meetings when he thought I wasn't looking. The times he'd ask for my opinion on decisions that were way above my pay grade, genuinely listening like my thoughts mattered. It all made sense now. Barrett, my voice cracked. He stepped back abruptly, creating distance. Professional distance. But his eyes, God, his eyes, they were still on me, searching, pleading. Jackson, I know this is unexpected. He ran a hand through his perfectly styled hair, messing it up for the first time ever. I didn't plan for you to find out like this. Find out what exactly? I whispered, even though I already knew the answer. Barrett closed his eyes, took a deep, shuddering breath. When he opened them again, they were filled with something I'd never seen before. Honesty. Pure, terrifying honesty. That I've been lying to myself for months. His voice was quiet but firm. That every morning I look forward to seeing you. That every time you smile at someone else, I feel something I have no right to feel. That when you stayed late last Tuesday working on the Henderson file, all I could think about was how much I wanted to tell you to go home and rest. But I kept you there because I'm selfish and I wanted you near me. My heart was pounding so hard I thought it might break through my chest. You're my assistant, Jackson. You work for me, and I know that makes this complicated impossible even. But pretending anymore, I can't do it. He looked away, jaw clenched. My mother's right. I've been postponing that dinner because I was terrified. Terrified that if I brought you home, it would make this real. That I'd have to face what I've been feeling. And what have you been feeling? The question left my lips before I could stop it. Barrett's gaze snapped back to me, intense and burning. Everything, Jackson. I've been feeling everything. The air between us crackled with tension. I could hear my own heartbeat, loud and erratic. Could feel the heat radiating from his body even though he was standing feet away. I don't expect you to say anything right now, Barrett continued, his voice softer now. I know this is a lot, and I know I'm your boss. Which makes this, God, this is so inappropriate. He laughed bitterly. But you deserve to know the truth. You deserve to know that when my mother asked about bringing someone special home, she was talking about you. Because I told her about you, Jackson. I told her about the person who makes coming to work feel less like an obligation and more like coming home. Tears pricked at the corners of my eyes. I didn't know what to say. Didn't know what to feel. This was Barrett Hale, Mr. Perfect, Mr. Untouchable, Mr. Ice King himself, standing in front of me breaking apart. Take your time, he said quietly, moving toward the door. Think about it. About us. About whether you could ever see me as something more than just your boss. He paused at the door, hand on the handle, back still turned to me. But Jackson? His voice was barely a whisper now. Just know that whatever you decide, I meant every word. The door clicked shut behind him. And I stood there alone in that conference room, my entire world tilted on its axis. Because Barrett Hale, my boss, my secret crush, the man I'd convinced myself was completely out of reach, had just confessed feelings I never thought possible. And now, the choice was mine. I didn't sleep that night. How could I? Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Barrett's face, that raw vulnerability, the tremor in his voice when he said my name. I replayed his words over and over until they were burned into my memory. I've been feeling everything, Jackson. What was I supposed to do with that? The next morning, walking into the office felt like walking into a minefield. Every step toward the elevator was heavy with anxiety. What would I say when I saw him? How was I supposed to act normal when everything had changed? The elevator doors opened on the 15th floor, and I stepped out into the familiar hallway. Everything looked the same gray carpets, same glass doors, same potted plants by the reception desk. But everything felt different. Morning, Jackson. Rachel, Barrett's executive assistant, called out cheerfully. She was standing by the coffee station, stirring her latte. You okay? You look like you didn't sleep. I'm fine, I lied, forcing a smile. Just a rough night. She gave me a knowing look but didn't press. Well, Mr. Hale's already in his office. He asked me to let you know he wants to see you when you get in. My stomach dropped. He did? Yeah. About 10 minutes ago. Rachel tilted her head, studying me. Everything okay between you two? He seemed off this morning. Off. That was one way to put it. Everything's fine, I said quickly, heading toward my desk. I'll go see him in a bit. But I didn't go see him. Not right away. Instead, I sat at my desk staring at my computer screen without really seeing it, trying to gather the courage to walk into his office and face him. What would I even say? Hey, thanks for the emotional confession yesterday, but I'm still processing. Or maybe, so your mom seems nice. God, this was a disaster. Jackson? A familiar voice broke through my spiraling thoughts. I looked up to find Jake leaning against my desk, his usual mischievous grin in place. Dude, you look stressed. What happened? Did Mr. Hale chew you out for something? No, nothing like that, I muttered, shuffling papers around aimlessly. Really? Because word on the floor is that you two had a pretty intense meeting yesterday in the conference room. Jake waggled his eyebrows. Alone. Door closed. For almost half an hour, heat rushed to my face. It was just work stuff, Jake. Work stuff that has you looking like you're about to throw up? Jake leaned closer, lowering his voice. Come on, man. You can tell me. What really happened? Nothing happened, I insisted, but my voice came out too defensive, too sharp. Jake's eyes lit up with realization. Oh my God. Something did happen. Jackson, did Mr. Hale? Drop it, Jake. Please. I shot him a pleading look and thankfully he backed off. Okay. But just so you know, whatever's going on, the whole office is kinda rooting for you guys. He winked and walked away before I could respond. Great. Just great. Now the entire office was invested in my personal drama. I spent the next hour pretending to work, typing emails that went nowhere and reviewing documents I didn't actually read. All while hyper-aware of Barrett's office door, just 20 feet away. I could feel his presence even through the walls, like a magnetic pull I couldn't ignore. Finally at 10:30 my desk phone rang. Barrett's extension. My hand trembled as I picked up. Hello? Jackson. His voice was quiet, professional, but I could hear the underlying tension. Can you come to my office, please? Yes, sir. The formality felt wrong after yesterday, but I didn't know what else to say. I hung up, took a deep breath and stood. The walk to his office felt like walking toward my execution. Every step echoed in my ears. By the time I reached his door, my palms were sweating. I knocked twice. Come in. I opened the door and stepped inside. Barrett was standing by the window, hands in his pockets, looking out at the city skyline. He didn't turn around when I entered. Close the door, he said quietly. I did, the soft click seeming impossibly loud in the silent room. For a long moment neither of us spoke. The tension was suffocating, pressing down on my chest until I could barely breathe. Jackson, I owe you an apology. Barrett's voice was low, controlled, but I could hear the strain beneath it. An apology? I echoed, confused. For what? For putting you in this position. He finally turned to face me, and what I saw made my breath catch. His eyes were tired, shadowed with dark circles like he hadn't slept either. His usually perfect hair was slightly disheveled, his tie loosened. He looked vulnerable in a way I'd never seen before. Yesterday I crossed a line. He continued, his jaw tight. You're my employee. I'm your superior. What I said, what I confessed, it was inappropriate and unfair. I put you in an impossible situation, and I'm sorry. Something twisted in my chest. Was he taking it back? Pretending it never happened? Barrett, I started, but he held up a hand. Let me finish, please. He took a step closer, his eyes never leaving mine. I meant everything I said yesterday. Every single word. But I shouldn't have said it the way I did. I should have been more careful, more considerate of your feelings and your position here. I don't understand, I whispered. Are you saying you regret telling me? No. The word came out fierce, almost desperate. God. No. I don't regret it. How could I regret finally being honest about something I've been carrying for months? He ran a hand through his hair, that now familiar gesture of frustration. But I regret making you uncomfortable. I regret putting you in a position where you might feel pressured or obligated to respond a certain way because I'm your boss. My heart was racing, emotions swirling too fast to process. I don't feel pressured, don't you? Barrett's laugh was bitter. Jackson, I'm your superior. I control your career, your paycheck, your future in this company. The power dynamic between us is fundamentally unequal. How could you not feel pressured? Because the words caught in my throat. Because I what? Because I felt the same way? Because I'd been harboring feelings for him for longer than I wanted to admit. Barrett must have seen something in my expression because his eyes widened slightly. He took another step closer, close enough that I could smell his cologne. That familiar scent that always made my heart skip. Jackson, he said softly, his voice dropping to barely above a whisper. Tell me what you're thinking. Please. I'm thinking, I started, my voice shaky, that I've been terrified for months. Terrified that you'd somehow figure out that I trailed off, unable to finish. That you what? Barrett's hand lifted, hovering near my face but not quite touching, like he was afraid I'd pull away. That I look forward to seeing you every morning too, I admitted in a rush. That I stay late not just because of work, but because I don't want to leave. That every time you smile, really smile, not that polite corporate smile, it makes my entire day better. Barrett's breath caught. His eyes searched mine, desperate and hopeful and scared all at once. You mean that? His voice was barely audible. I mean it, I whispered, but I'm also terrified, Barrett. Because you're right. You are my boss. This is complicated and messy and could ruin everything. My job, my career, I won't let that happen. The conviction in his voice stopped me mid-sentence. Jackson, I swear to you, no matter what happens between us, or doesn't happen, your job is safe. Your career is safe. I would never use my position to hurt you. I know you wouldn't, I said, and I meant it. Whatever Barrett was, he wasn't manipulative or cruel. But that doesn't make this less complicated. I know. He finally let his hand drop, stepping back to give me space. The loss of his proximity felt like a physical ache. That's why I'm not asking for an answer right now. I'm not asking you to decide anything today. Then what are you asking? Barrett's eyes met mine, intense and unwavering. I'm asking you to think about it. About us. About whether this, whatever this is between us, is worth exploring. Despite the complications. He paused. And I'm asking you to come with me on Sunday. My heart stopped. To meet your mother? Yes. A small, nervous smile tugged at his lips. She's already expecting you. And honestly, after that phone call, she'll never forgive me if I don't bring you. Despite everything, I found myself smiling. That's your pitch? Emotional blackmail via your mother? Is it working? There was hope in his eyes now. Tentative but real. I looked at him, really looked at him. At the man behind the boss. The vulnerable person behind the professional mask. And I realized that maybe, just maybe, this was worth the risk. I'll think about it, I said quietly. About all of it. Relief washed over Barrett's face. Thank you. That's all I'm asking. I turned to leave, but his voice stopped me at the door. Jackson? I looked back. Whatever you decide, he said, his eyes holding mine. Know that I'll respect it, and I'll still be here, grateful for every moment I get to work with you. I nodded, not trusting my voice, and left his office. As I walked back to my desk, my mind was spinning. Barrett Hale wanted me. Actually wanted me. And I had until Sunday to decide what to do about it. The question was, did I have the courage to take the leap? By lunch, the entire floor was buzzing. I noticed it the moment I walked into the break room. Conversations stopped mid-sentence. Eyes darted toward me, then away. Whispered exchanges behind cupped hands. The kind of attention that made my skin crawl. Ignore them, Claire said, appearing at my elbow with 2 cups of coffee. She handed me one. Office gossip moves faster than the internet. What are they saying? I asked. Even though part of me didn't want to know. Claire gave me a sympathetic look. That you and Mr. Hale had a moment yesterday. That he looked at you differently. That something's definitely going on. My stomach sank. Great. That's just great. Hey. Claire squeezed my arm gently. For what it's worth, I think it's kind of romantic. Mr. Hale's been so closed off since I started here. If you're the person who finally got through to him, that's pretty special. Before I could respond, Jake bounded over, practically vibrating with excitement. Okay, so I know you told me to drop it, but dude, you have to give me something. The suspense is killing me. Jake, is it true? Marcus joined us, his usually quiet demeanor replaced with genuine curiosity. Are you and Mr. Hale actually? No! The word came out too loud, drawing even more attention. I lowered my voice. No! There's nothing going on. Can everyone please just stop? But even as I said it, I knew it was a lie. There was something going on. Something big and terrifying and completely undefined. Jackson, it's okay. Claire said softly. We're not judging. We're just curious. And honestly, happy for you. There's nothing to be happy about, I muttered, stirring my coffee aggressively. This is all just a misunderstanding. A misunderstanding that has Mr. Hale watching you like you're the only person in the room? Jake raised an eyebrow. Come on, man. We've all noticed. He's different around you. He's my boss, I said firmly. That's all. But my words felt hollow, even to my own ears. The real disaster happened in the cafeteria during lunch. I was standing in line with my tray, trying to blend into the background, when I felt it, that prickle of awareness that told me Barrett had entered the room. I didn't even need to look. I just knew. The cafeteria went quiet. Actually quiet. Barrett never came to the cafeteria. In the 8 months I'd worked here, I'd never seen him eat anywhere but his office. He was too private, too separate from the rest of us. But today he was here, standing in the doorway in his perfectly tailored charcoal suit, scanning the room. His eyes found mine. My breath caught. For a moment the world narrowed to just the two of us. Everything else, the staring employees, the whispers, the judgment, faded into white noise. I saw recognition in his eyes, followed by something that looked like determination. He walked toward the coffee station with purposeful strides, his expression unreadable. But I could see the tension in his shoulders, the slight clench of his jaw. He was nervous. People parted for him like the Red Sea. Everyone suddenly very interested in their lunch trays. I forced myself to look away, to focus on the food in front of me. I grabbed a sandwich I didn't want, added a bag of chips I wouldn't eat, anything to avoid making eye contact again. But then I felt him behind me. Close. Too close. Jackson. My name, spoken soft and low, just for me. The way he said it made my knees weak. I turned slowly, clutching my tray like a lifeline. Yes, sir. Barrett's eyes softened at the formality. A flicker of something, regret, sadness, crossing his face. He was holding a coffee cup, steam rising from the lid. Without a word, he held it out to me. I stared at it, confused. I already have. It's your favorite, he interrupted quietly. His voice was barely above a whisper, but in the silent cafeteria it felt like a shout. Extra cream, no sugar. You mentioned once that the cafeteria coffee is too bitter. When had I mentioned that? Months ago, maybe, in passing. I'd been complaining to Rachel about the coffee machine being broken. Had Barrett been there? Had he been listening? My hand moved on autopilot, accepting the cup. Our fingers brushed for the briefest moment, and electricity shot up my arm. Thank you, I whispered. Barrett's lips curved into the smallest smile. Not his professional smile. Not his polite corporate mask, but something real. Something that made my heart do backflips. You're welcome, he said. And then so quietly I almost missed it. I remembered. He walked away, leaving me standing there holding the coffee, acutely aware of every single pair of eyes in the cafeteria locked on me. The silence lasted exactly 3 seconds. Then the room exploded. Oh my God! Claire materialized beside me, grabbing my arm so hard it hurt. Jackson! Did you see that? Did you see that? Jake was fanning himself dramatically. I can't. I literally cannot. That was the most romantic thing I've ever witnessed in real life. Marcus appeared on my other side, grinning. Man, when Mr. Hale said he remembered, I think half the women in here just swooned. Guys, please, I tried. But it was hopeless. The cafeteria had erupted into excited chatter. Everyone was talking about what they'd just witnessed. Some people were smiling, genuinely happy. Others looked shocked. A few seemed jealous or disapproving. This is officially the best office drama ever. Someone behind me said, I knew something was going on. Mr. Hale never does things like that. Never. Did you see the way he looked at him? I wanted to disappear, to melt into the floor and never resurface. My face was burning, my hands shaking so badly I nearly dropped the coffee cup. Jackson, breathe, Claire said, her voice cutting through my panic. Just breathe. I looked across the cafeteria and found Barrett standing by the exit. He was watching me, concern etched on his face. When our eyes met, he gave me a slight nod. An apology, a reassurance, and then left. You need to go after him, Jake urged. Like right now. What? No. I can't just… Yes. You can, Marcus said. Whatever's happening between you two, it's pretty obvious it's real. And honestly, life's too short to let fear hold you back. I looked down at the coffee in my hands. Extra cream, no sugar. He'd remembered. Months later, he'd remembered a throwaway comment I'd made. That had to mean something, right? Before I could talk myself out of it, I set my tray down and walked out of the cafeteria. I could feel dozens of eyes following me, hear the whispers growing louder, but I didn't care anymore. I found Barrett in the hallway outside his office, standing by the window with his hands in his pockets, staring out at nothing. Barrett. He turned, surprise flashing across his face. Jackson, I thought you… Why did you do that? I interrupted, my voice shaking. Why did you do that in front of everyone? Barrett's jaw tightened. Because I'm tired of hiding. Tired of pretending that you're just my assistant when you're so much more than that. You just made us the center of office gossip, I said. But there was no anger in my voice. Just confusion. And maybe… hope. I know. He stepped closer. And I'm sorry if I embarrassed you. But Jackson, I needed everyone to know. I needed them to see that you matter to me. That you're not just another employee. Why? The question came out as barely a whisper. Barrett's eyes held mine. Intense and unwavering. Because I'm done hiding how I feel. Life's too short to waste time being afraid. He paused. My mother was right about one thing: when you find someone who understands you, who makes you want to be better, you don't let them go. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. Barrett, this is crazy. We barely even… I know, he interrupted. I know it's fast and complicated and probably a terrible idea. But Jackson, when have the best things in life ever been simple? He had a point. I looked down at the coffee in my hands, still warm, exactly the way I liked it. A small gesture that meant everything. Sunday, I said finally, looking up at him. I'll come with you on Sunday. Barrett's eyes widened, hope blooming across his face. You will? Yeah. A smile tugged at my lips despite my nervousness. I mean, your mom already ordered the cake, right? Can't let that go to waste. Barrett laughed. Actually laughed, and the sound was beautiful. No, we definitely can't. But, I added quickly, we need to talk about this. Really talk about what it means, what we're doing, how we're going to handle the office situation. Agreed. Barrett nodded. We'll figure it out. Together. Together. That word sent warmth spreading through my chest. Okay, I said softly. Together. As I walked back to my desk, coffee still in hand, I could feel eyes on me from every direction. The gossip would only get worse from here. Things were about to get complicated, really complicated. But as I glanced back and saw Barrett watching me with that soft smile on his face, I realized something important. Maybe complicated was worth it. Maybe taking the risk was worth it. Maybe Barrett Hale was worth it. And for the first time since this whole thing started, I felt ready. Ready to see where this could go. Ready to take the leap. Ready to finally stop being afraid. The afternoon felt like it stretched on forever after the cafeteria incident. Every time someone walked past my desk, I could feel their eyes on me. The whispers had become a constant background noise, like static I couldn't tune out. I was staring blankly at my computer screen, pretending to review quarterly reports when Rachel appeared beside my desk. She had that look, the one that said she knew something I didn't, mixed with genuine amusement. Jackson, she said, her voice carrying a hint of a smile. Mr. Hale would like to see you in his office. My heart immediately jumped into my throat. Now? Yes. Now. Rachel leaned in slightly, lowering her voice. And Jackson, good luck. Good luck? What was this? Some kind of test I needed to pass? I stood up on shaky legs, smoothing down my shirt even though it didn't need smoothing. The walk to Barrett's office felt like walking through quicksand, every step heavy, every breath labored. I could feel eyes tracking my movement across the floor. Jake gave me an encouraging thumbs up, Claire mouthed. "You got this." Marcus just nodded knowingly. When I reached the door, I knocked twice. My knuckles barely made a sound against the heavy wood. "Come in, Jackson." He knew it was me, without even checking. Something about that made my pulse race faster. I pushed the door open and stepped inside. Barrett's office was exactly like him. Minimalist, elegant, intimidating. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the city skyline. His desk was pristine, everything in its place, and there he was, standing by the window with his hands in his pockets, his silhouette sharp against the afternoon light filtering in. He looked like he belonged in a magazine spread about successful CEOs. Untouchable. Perfect. Except I knew better now. I'd seen the vulnerability in his eyes yesterday. I'd heard the tremor in his voice when he'd said my name. "Close the door," he said softly, though it wasn't really a request. I did, and the soft click echoed in the quiet office. The sound felt final, like sealing us away from the rest of the world. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. The silence stretched between us, heavy with everything unsaid. I could hear my own heartbeat, loud in my ear. Finally, Barrett turned to face me. His expression was carefully neutral, but I could see the tension in his shoulders, the tight set of his jaw. "I need to talk to you about what happened in the cafeteria," he began, his voice measured and controlled. "About what I did." I waited, not trusting my voice. "It was deliberate," he continued, taking a step closer. "I wanted everyone to see, to know." He paused, searching my face. "And I need to know if that was crossing a line for you." "Crossing a line?" I repeated, finding my voice. It came out shakier than I intended. "Yes." Barrett ran a hand through his hair, that gesture of frustration I was starting to recognize. "You never signed up for office gossip or public speculation. I put you in that position, and if I made you uncomfortable, I need to make it right." I thought about it. About the stares, the whispers, the knowing looks. It had been overwhelming. Yes. Embarrassing. Definitely. But uncomfortable? I wasn't uncomfortable, I admitted quietly. I was surprised. Maybe a little embarrassed. But not uncomfortable. Something shifted in Barrett's expression. Relief maybe, mixed with something deeper. "You're sure?" he asked, stepping closer still. Now he was only a few feet away, close enough that I could see the flecks of silver in his gray eyes. "I'm sure," I said more firmly this time. If anything, I trailed off, not sure how to articulate what I was feeling. "You what?" Barrett prompted gently. "I liked that you weren't hiding it," I finished in a rush. "That you weren't pretending like there's nothing between us." Barrett's eyes widened slightly, and for a moment he looked almost vulnerable. "So you feel it too? This thing between us?" How could I not? The words tumbled out before I could stop them. "You remember how I take my coffee. You stay late just because I'm staying late. You look at me like..." I stopped, heat rising to my face. "Like what?" Barrett's voice had dropped to barely above a whisper. He was close now, so close I could smell his cologne. Something expensive and subtle that made my head spin. "Like I matter." I finished softly. "Like I'm more than just your assistant." "Because you are," Barrett said immediately, his voice rough with emotion. "God, Jackson, you're so much more than that. You have to know that by now." My breath caught in my throat. "Your mom said you want to make this official. That you want me to be your boyfriend." The word hung in the air between us, loaded with possibility and fear and hope. "I do," Barrett confirmed, and there was no hesitation in his voice. "But only if that's what you want too. I won't pressure you. I won't use my position to influence your decision. This has to be your choice, Jackson. Completely yours." I looked up at him, at this man who had somehow managed to break through all my defenses without me even realizing it. This man who remembered small details about me, who looked at me like I was something precious, who was willing to make our relationship public even though it would complicate everything. "I need time," I said honestly. "This is all happening so fast. A week ago, you were just my boss. Now you're..." I gestured helplessly between us. "I understand," Barrett said, though I could see the disappointment flicker across his face. "Take all the time you need. But Jackson..." Yes, Sunday. My mother is expecting you. And honestly, he gave me a small, almost shy smile. I'd really like you to come. Not as my assistant. Not as an obligation, but as someone I care about. Someone I want my family to meet. The sincerity in his voice undid something in my chest. How could I say no to that? Okay, I heard myself say. I'll come on Sunday. The smile that broke across Barrett's face was radiant, transforming his usually serious features into something warm and boyish. Really? Really? I confirmed, unable to help smiling back. But we need to set some ground rules. About work, about boundaries, about how we're going to handle this. Whatever you need, Barrett agreed immediately. We'll figure it out together. Together. That word sent a flutter through my stomach. I should get back to work, I said reluctantly. People are probably wondering what we're talking about. Let them wonder, Barrett said. But he stepped back, giving me space. Thank you, Jackson, for giving us a chance. I nodded, not trusting my voice, and headed for the door. But before I could leave, Barrett called my name one more time. Jackson? I turned back. You look good today, he said simply. I meant to tell you that earlier. Heat flooded my face. Thank you, I managed to say, and practically fled from his office. As I walked back to my desk, I could feel everyone's eyes on me. But this time I didn't care, because for the first time since this whole thing started, I felt like maybe, just maybe, this could actually work. Barrett wanted me. Really wanted me. And the terrifying truth was, I wanted him too. Friday evening came and went in a blur of nervous energy and second-guessing. I spent most of it pacing my apartment, picking up my phone and putting it down again, trying to decide what to do about Sunday. By Saturday morning, I still hadn't made up my mind. I made coffee, burned toast, and stared at my phone like it might suddenly provide all the answers I needed. The thing was, I knew what I wanted. I wanted to go to Sunday dinner. I wanted to meet Barrett's mom officially, as more than just the accidental voice on the other end of a phone call. I wanted to see what it would be like to be with Barrett outside of work, away from the office gossip and the power dynamics and all the complications. But wanting something and having the courage to reach for it were two very different things. I spent Saturday afternoon cleaning my apartment, not because it needed it, but because I needed something to do with my hands. I vacuumed, did laundry, organized my bookshelf, anything to keep my mind occupied. It didn't work. By Saturday evening, I was exhausted but no closer to a decision. I ordered takeout, turned on a movie I'd seen a dozen times, and tried to relax, but every few minutes, my mind would drift back to Barrett, to the way he'd looked at me in his office, to the hope in his voice when I'd agreed to come on Sunday, to the weight of the decision I was carrying. At 11:47 p.m., my phone buzzed. I picked it up, already knowing who it would be. My heart started racing before I even saw the screen. Barrett. Still awake? Such a simple message. Such normal words. But coming from him at this hour, they felt intimate. Me? Yeah. Can't sleep. The response came almost immediately. Barrett. Me neither. Thinking about tomorrow. I stared at the message, my thumb hovering over the keyboard. This was it. This was the moment I needed to make a choice. Me. About that, I watched the three dots appear, indicating he was typing. Then they disappeared. Then appeared again, like he was choosing his words carefully. Barrett, if you've changed your mind, I understand. No pressure, Jackson. I mean that. The fact that he was giving me an out made me want to take the leap even more. He wasn't pushing, wasn't demanding. He was just waiting, hoping. I took a deep breath and typed. Me. I haven't changed my mind. I want to come. This time, the response was instant. Barrett, are you sure? Me? I'm terrified. But yes, I'm sure. My phone immediately started ringing. Barrett's name flashed on the screen. I answered on the second ring. Jackson. His voice was rough, like he'd been holding his breath. You mean it? I mean it, I said, and saying it out loud made it real. Made it final. I want to meet your mom. I want to see where you grew up. I trailed off, not quite ready to say the rest. You want to what? Barrett prompted gently. I want to see if this thing between us is real, I admitted quietly. Outside of work. Outside of all the complications. I want to know if it's just if it's just the situation or if it's actually us. Barrett was quiet for a moment. When he spoke again, his voice was thick with emotion. It's us, Jackson. I already know that, but I'm glad you want to find out for yourself. I'm scared. I confessed. What if your mom doesn't actually like me? What if I mess this up? What if— Jackson, stop, Barrett interrupted gently. My mom already likes you. She's been asking about you for months, and you couldn't mess this up if you tried. You don't know that, I protested weakly. Yes, I do, Barrett said firmly. Because you're kind and genuine and thoughtful. Because you care about people. Because you're you. And that's more than enough. Tears pricked at my eyes. When had anyone ever talked about me like that? Like I was something special? What time should I be ready? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. I'll pick you up at 2, Barrett said. I could hear the smile in his voice. Wear something casual. Jeans are fine. My mom isn't formal, despite what you might think from the phone call. Okay, I said. Then, because I couldn't help myself. Barrett? Yeah? Thank you. For being patient with me. For not pushing. Always, Barrett said softly. I told you, Jackson. I'll wait as long as you need. You're worth waiting for. My heart did that stupid fluttering thing again. I should let you sleep. Tomorrow's going to be a big day. It is. Barrett agreed. But Jackson? One more thing. What? I'm really glad you said yes. More than you know. After we hung up, I sat in my dark apartment. Phone still clutched in my hand. Heart full of something that felt dangerously close to happiness. Tomorrow, I would meet Barrett's mother. Tomorrow, I would step into his world. His life. His home. Tomorrow, I would find out if this thing between us could survive outside the bubble of our office. Tomorrow, everything would change. I was terrified, but I was also more excited than I'd been in years. Because for the first time in a long time, I was taking a chance on something that mattered, on someone who mattered. I was taking a chance on Barrett, and on myself. I finally crawled into bed around midnight, setting 3 alarms to make sure I wouldn't oversleep. As I drifted off, I couldn't help but smile. Sunday, 2 p.m. I'd be ready. Scared, yes. Nervous, definitely. But ready. Ready to see where this could go. Ready to find out if Barrett Hale and I could be something real. Something lasting. Something worth all the complications. Ready to take the leap. Sunday afternoon arrived too quickly and not fast enough. I changed outfits 3 times before settling on dark jeans and a navy button-down shirt. Casual but neat, like Barrett had suggested. My hands were shaking as I tried to fix my hair for the 4th time. At exactly 2 p.m., my phone buzzed. Barrett, I'm outside. I grabbed my jacket, took one last look in the mirror and headed downstairs. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. Barrett was leaning against a sleek black Audi, looking impossibly handsome in jeans and a gray sweater that matched his eyes. When he saw me, his face lit up with a smile that made my knees weak. Hey, he said softly as I approached. Hey, I managed to reply, suddenly feeling incredibly nervous. You look great, Barrett said, his eyes taking me in. Ready? As ready as I'll ever be, I admitted. The drive to his mother's house took about 30 minutes. Barrett kept glancing over at me, probably noticing my white-knuckled grip on the door handle. Jackson, breathe, he said gently, reaching over to briefly squeeze my hand. I promise she doesn't bite. She's actually really excited to meet you. That's what I'm afraid of. I muttered. What if I don't live up to her expectations? What if she thinks you could do better? Barrett pulled the car over to the side of the road, putting it in park. He turned to face me fully, his expression serious. Listen to me, he said, his voice firm but kind. There is no better. You are exactly who I want. And my mom knows that. She knew it from the first time I mentioned you. So stop worrying about living up to expectations and just be yourself. That's all she wants to see. The person who makes her son happy. The person who makes her son happy. Was that really what I was? Before I could respond, Barrett leaned over and kissed my forehead. Quick, gentle, reassuring. Now let's go before my mom thinks we got lost. We pulled into a quiet suburban neighborhood with tree-lined streets and well-kept houses. Barrett's childhood home was charming. A 2-story house painted cream with dark shutters, flower boxes in the windows, and a garden that was clearly loved and maintained. As soon as Barrett parked, the front door opened. A woman stepped out onto the porch, and I immediately saw where Barrett got his eyes. The same striking gray, though hers were warm and welcoming rather than intimidating. "Barrett," she called out, hurrying down the steps. Barrett met her halfway, and she pulled him into a tight hug. "My boy," she said fondly. Then she turned to me and her smile grew even wider. "And you must be Jackson," she said, approaching me with open arms. I had extended my hand for a handshake, but she brushed it aside and pulled me into a hug instead. She smelled like vanilla and cinnamon, and her embrace was warm and motherly in a way that made my throat tight. "It's so wonderful to finally meet you properly," she said, pulling back to look at me. "I'm Linda. And please, don't call me Mrs. Hale. That makes me feel ancient." "It's nice to meet you too," I managed to say, already feeling some of my nervousness melt away. Her warmth was genuine, not forced. Come in, Linda ushered us inside. "I've been cooking all morning. I hope you're hungry." The inside of the house was exactly what I'd imagined. Cozy and lived in, with family photos covering the walls and comfortable furniture that invited you to sit and stay a while. It was the complete opposite of Barrett's sleek, minimalist office. And somehow that made perfect sense. Linda led us to the living room, where she'd set out coffee and, to my surprise, a beautiful strawberry cheesecake on the coffee table. "Your favorite, right?" she said to me with a wink. I looked at Barrett in surprise. "You told her?" "Of course he did," Linda laughed, settling into an armchair across from us. "My son has told me quite a bit about you over the past few months, though he was always very mysterious about who exactly this person was that had him so distracted." "Mom," Barrett said, a slight edge of embarrassment in his voice. "What?" "It's true," Linda said, completely unrepentant. "You'd call me and spend half the conversation talking about something clever. Jackson said, or how Jackson stayed late to help with a project, or how Jackson understood something about you that no one else did. I knew my son was smitten before he did." My face was burning, but I couldn't help smiling. "He talked about me, constantly," Linda confirmed. "At first I thought maybe you were just a really good friend, but then I heard the way he said your name, and I knew it was more than that." Barrett looked like he wanted to sink into the couch and disappear, but he was also smiling slightly, like he couldn't help it. "Anyway," Linda continued, pouring coffee for all of us, "I'm just glad he finally got the courage to do something about it. Barrett's always been too cautious for his own good." We spent the next hour talking, or rather Linda asked me questions and I answered while Barrett sat beside me, occasionally adding details or laughing at his mother's stories about his childhood. She was easy to talk to, genuinely interested in my life, my work, my thoughts. She made me feel welcome in a way I hadn't expected. When dinner was ready, we moved to the dining room. Linda had made homemade lasagna, garlic bread, and a Caesar salad. Everything was delicious, and the conversation flowed easily. Barrett's father joined us via video call from his business trip, and he was just as warm and welcoming as Linda. "Take care of my boy," he said to me before hanging up, and I promised I would. After dinner, Barrett and I ended up on the back porch while Linda cleaned up despite our offers to help. The sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of pink and orange. Fairy lights were strung up around the porch, giving everything a soft, magical glow. "So," Barrett said, settling beside me on the porch steps, "what do you think?" "I think your mom is wonderful," I said honestly. "And your home is beautiful." "I meant," Barrett said gently, "what do you think about us?" I turned to look at him. His face was open, vulnerable, hopeful. This was Barrett without his walls, without his professional mask. This was just him. "I think," I said slowly, "that I'm still scared. But I think I want to try this. Really try." Barrett's smile was radiant. "That's all I'm asking for." He reached for my hand, lacing our fingers together. We sat there in comfortable silence, watching the stars come out, and I felt something settle in my chest. Something that felt like peace. Like coming home. This was real. We were real. And maybe, just maybe, we had a chance.